Thanks, Brenda.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled Tabortown Council meeting for October 28th, 2024. First off, we have a subdivision authority meeting. So I will call that meeting to order and I'd ask for an adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councillor Firth,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
All right, thank you. Carried unanimously. And just to clarify, we do have Councillor Sorensen and Councillor Bruin online with us today. All right, on to item 3, adoption of the minutes. Item 3.1, minutes, regular subdivision authority, September 23rd, 2024. Mr. Thibault.
Administration has nothing to note in the minutes. Back over to council.
All right, thank you. Anything arising? So I'm free to make that required motion. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the Subdivision Authority adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of Subdivision Authority held on September 23rd, 2024 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 4, subdivision application. Item 4.1, TT 24-0-008, Meadows redivision of 12 units. Mr. Thibault.
So we do have Chris Egan and Selena Newberry here, just for council's information. Because this is the Meadows, it's direct control, which always comes through council. So that's why it's in front of you today.
All right, thank you. Mr. Egan, Ms. Newberry.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
So before you, we have a subdivision, which is a regular item that we, as you guys are the subdivision authority. This one just happens to be in the Meadows. It's slightly different, but not because it's a condo plan, not a regular lot block plan. But it does work the same as any other subdivision. I did do some review of the Condo Plan Act. So they have to, if we approve this, they will have to redistribute the units. And so that is up to the developer to ensure that that happens.
All right, thank you. Mr. Egan, anything else? All right, perfect, thank you. Fairly straightforward, I believe. Any questions arising? None whatsoever. All right, someone prepared to make that required motion. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the Subdivision Authority approves subdivision TT 24-0-008, units 42 to 44, 45 to 47, 78 to 80, 85 to 87, Block 100, Plan 2210424, East Half Section 7, Township 10, Range 16, west of the 4th Meridian, with the following 8 conditions as listed.
All right, thank you. Yes, Ms. Newberry. Sure, what should that be? All right, Councillor Firth, you all right with
Can
that?
I amend my motion to
Absolutely,
remove
yeah.
Block 100?
All right, very well. That's covered. You're okay with that? Okay, all right. Amended motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Favor.
Councillor Sorensen?
In favor.
Oh, thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you. And just motion to close the meeting, please. Councillor McLean, motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on to, we have an organizational meeting requirement also. So I will call that meeting in order and ask for the adoption of the agenda as presented as well, please. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr.
I can make that motion.
You go ahead.
I move
Councilor
that we
McLean,
adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 3, action items. Item 3.1, council participation on boards, committees, commissions. Mr. Thibault.
Okay, each year, administration brings council to this place where we go through all our various organizational meetings. If you recall, last meeting, we sort of went through this list and made sure we got it pre-populated with what we thought was going to happen. So that's what's in front of you today for all three of these items. The recommended motion looks a lot like what we do for what you just finished doing for the subdivision authority with the names and committees or boards or ad hoc committees listed in the points below. So over to council.
All right, thank you. Everybody's reviewed those items and all right with that information? Accurate? All right, thank you. Councilor Renfret?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can make a motion on that.
All right, very well.
Make a motion that council approves the council appointments to various councils, boards, committees, and commissions as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 3.2, requested council appointments. Mr. Tebow.
Again, same as the last one. This one has 9 items presented for council.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make that required motion? Councilor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the requested appointments of council members to the various boards and committees as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 3.3, ad hoc committee appointments. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, so last organizational for listing of the various committees. This one's the ad hoc, and again, there's 10 items to look at.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising on these items? Seeing none whatsoever, someone prepared to make the required motion. Councilor Renfret.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that council approves the requested appointments of council members to the various ad hoc committees as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Delegations, there are no delegations. Item 4.1, appointment of deputy mayor. Mr. Tebow.
So, Mr. Mayor, this one is already pre-prescribed, but administration brings it back each year to reaffirm what's remaining in the final term, and so that's what's in front of you.
All right, thank you. Anything arising? Seeing none whatsoever. All right, someone prepared to make that motion. Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the appointment of deputy mayors for the terms as follows.
Right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. And no media inquiries as a result, Mr. Tebow.
There are none.
Just ask for someone to make a motion to close the meeting. Councilor Beckering, motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to the regular scheduled Tabortown Council meeting. I will call the meeting to order. And just advise, as council is aware, the need to add a closed session item, item 10.3, related to a personnel matter, subject to Section 24, Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, advice from officials. I just ask for adoption of the agenda as amended, please. Councilor McLean,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Councilor Bruin?
Sorry, in favor.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
In favor.
Oh, sorry, he was the last one we were waiting on. That's right, yes. Sorry. Sorry. Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right. On to public hearings. Item 3.1, public hearing for direct control development application 24-219. Mr. Tebow.
So again, we'll have Ms. Selena Newberry and Chris Egan come forward. Being that this is a direct control and a public hearing, that's why it's back in front of council. So over to you.
All right, so yes, just related to the call of public hearing for direct control development application 24-219 meeting to order. And just as far as anyone in attendance who wish to speak against or for direct control Development Application 24-219 will have a 5-minute limit for speaking and must state their name for the record and must state if they are speaking themselves or for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, over to you, Selena and Chris.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before us, we have our public hearing portion for Development Permit 24-219. This is in our direct control up at the Meadows. They're looking to do a slab-on-grade home up there. These are discretionary use. I didn't have any comments at the time I made the RFD, but we did have someone come in and leave some written comments. So I'm just going to read what was left with us. So it says, "To whom it may concern, I do not object to the Meadows development so long as it does not interfere with my farming, including irrigation. And the reason I specify irrigation is that I cannot control the weather. I cannot prevent the wind from blowing the water out of the normal path of irrigation. And if that's not acceptable, then they object." It says, "Kind regards," and it's Sachi Hiromu Urano.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising related to that information? None whatsoever. All right, thank you. And related to that, written oral briefs against the direct control application. That's the only direct control against, correct? That's what you're saying?
It was kind of a strange one. It was both for and
No, is
against.
it, yeah, I was reading kind of favorable and non-favorable,
Yeah,
depending.
favorable at this point.
Right, okay. So it is on the record, all right. So is anyone present that wishes to speak against direct control development application 24-219? Anyone present that wishes to speak against direct control development application 24-219 a second time? Anyone present wishes to speak against direct control development application 24-219 a third and final time? All right, seeing none. Related to written or oral briefs, that's the one and only again, back to that information, is correct. So I will also ask, is anyone present who wishes to speak for the direct control development application 24-219? Anyone present wishing to speak for direct control development application 24-219 a second time? And anyone wish to speak for direct control development application 24-219 a third and final time? All right, seeing none, I would just declare the public hearing closed at this stage here. Moving on to item 3.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry. Yes, Councilor Bruin?
may I, question
Yes, you bet.
with the farmer's concerns there, is there something that needs to be noted, like a motion or anything like that for that?
Sorry, Councilor Bruin, I don't think we caught that. Could you say that again, please?
With the farmer's concerns with the irrigation, do we have to make a note of that somehow publicly?
Oh, just to make a note of it publicly with his questions and or concerns? Ms. Newberry?
I do believe.
Yes.
Sorry, Council and Mr. Mayor and Council. I do believe that that's exactly what we've done by reading his concerns during the public hearing portion.
Okay, very well. I think that's taken care of. Councilor Bruin, are you satisfied with that?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes. We do
Sorry.
give him the insurance that we will not interfere with his irrigation.
Okay, thank you. So no motion required related to any of that information. Again, back to declaring the public hearing for direct control application 24-219 now closed. And item 3.2, public hearing for direct control development application 24-220. Mr. Tebow.
Again, we've got the correct two people at the podium, so we'll have them continue on after you ask what
Yeah,
you
and I
need.
will just advise again, anyone public in attendance who wishes to speak against or for direct control development application 24-220 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record and must state if they are speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. All right, so Ms. Newberry, anything written in place that you're aware of?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, it is the same letter.
Okay.
So I will read it one more time just so that it's
Sure.
entered into this record. It says, "To whom it may concern, I do not object to the Meadows development so long as it does not interfere with my farming, including irrigation, and And the reason I specify irrigation is that I cannot control the weather. I cannot prevent the wind from blowing the water out of the normal path of irrigation. If that is not acceptable, then I object to the development. And again, it was from Mr. Sachi Hiramu Urano.
All right, thank you. So exactly the same content for this particular application. All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, thank you. So moving on, I will ask, is anyone present wishing to speak against direct control development application 24220? Anyone present who wishes to speak against direct control development application 24220 a second time? And anyone present who wishes to speak against direct control development application 24220 a third and final time? All right, seeing none. Moving on to presentation of written or oral briefs. You've just gone through that, Ms. Newberry. And that's one and only, just to confirm that, correct? Okay,
Correct.
related to, for direct control, all right. So I will ask anyone present who wishes to speak for direct control application 24220. Anyone present who wishes to speak for the direct control development application 24220 a second time? And is there anyone present who wishes to speak for direct control development application 24220 a third and final time? All right, seeing none, no motion required at this time. I will also declare this public hearing now closed. All right, moving on to item 4, adoption of minutes. Item 4.1, minutes of regular meeting of council, October 15th, 2024. Mr. Tebow?
Administration has nothing to note in these minutes either, so back over to council.
All right, thank you. Anything arising? So I'm prepared to make that required motion. Councillor Renfort?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion that council adopts the minutes of regular meeting of council held on October 15th, 2024 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
In favor?
Chair announced. Thank you. There is no business arise from the minutes. Item 6, bylaws. Item 6.1, proposed investment incentive bylaw 16-2024. Mr. Tebow?
If council recalls, council had directed administration to go back and try and make this bylaw a little more streamlined so that council didn't have to revisit every single incentive investment that came along. So administration has gone away and done that, and I'll have Amy Allred come up and explain the adjustments and what they mean.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allred?
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
So for this first one, the proposed investment incentive bylaw, there are just a couple minimal changes to the previous bylaw that were made to make the application and administration process easier for everybody. So we removed the requirement to apply for the incentive before receiving a building permit. And as well, we are bringing all the applications to council at the first March meeting for one approval and one meeting. So our new process will see our team contacting everybody who has development permits from the year before or the year before at this point, has open development permits, find out where they are at their occupancy, and if they qualify for this year or if they're going to come into the program next year. We'll have that list ready and to council for the first March meeting so they can be ready before the taxes go out. So this ensures that applicants are informed of where they are because we'll have contact with them every year and helps our office get the applications through faster before tax season. Still offers the same 5-year municipal tax incentive for new commercial projects or renovations that increase their assessment value by 25%. Are there any questions?
All right, very well. Any questions arising? All right, thank you, Amy. Very informative. No question, concerns. All right, Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No questions, just ready to make a motion.
Very
That
well.
council gives first reading to investment incentive bylaw 16-2024 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
In favor?
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. All right, on to item 6.2, proposed residential tax incentive bylaw 17-2024. Mr. Tebow?
So this verse is very much like the first. This is the residential version versus the commercial version, and I think mostly the same adjustments, but again, I'll let Amy run through it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so it's, again, minimal changes to the current bylaw that we have. The requirement to remove the building permit, the applications before a building permit have been removed, and that the applications are go through the same process and are brought to council in March, just like the investment incentive. Again, this applies to new single-family, new manufactured homes, new multi and mixed-use housing, and to the new assessed portion of legal suites on a 4-year tiered program. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? None whatsoever. All right, someone prepared to make that motion. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives first reading to proposed bylaw 17-2024, being the residential tax incentive bylaw as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.3, first reading for proposed land use bylaw amendment 21-2024. Mr. Tebow.
Yep, so as mentioned, we have an amendment to a bylaw, and I'll have Mr. Egan and Ms. Newberry come forward again and speak to what the adjustments are and some of the background as to why.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. So before you, you have a first reading for a land use bylaw. This one is for a redistricting or rezoning. This has come to us as an application from the property owner. They were looking to further develop their property, and at the time when we reviewed, we discovered that the current use that they would like to redevelop is no longer a use that is allowed in the M1 district, so it's considered a non-conforming use. So by rezoning it to the M2 district, their use would become a discretionary use, and they would be able to then apply for the permits to upgrade their batch plant at that time. This is for, they have 3 properties that the business occupies up on the north end of town, and so this would see all 3 of those rezoned from the M1 district to the M2 district.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, just one question. I know I did have some discussion with Mr. Tebow on this, but I'm not completely clear. This has been around for, I don't know, 40 years or something, this business, but is there something specific that's changed to go this route, or what's a little unclear on that, actually?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So yes, this business has been in operation since, I believe, at least the 1970s. I did go back through all the previous land use bylaws to see if I could figure out exactly when it changed. I looked through their file. So I couldn't find a previous land use bylaw for back until the 1980s where they actually could have done this use on the property under the bylaw. And I couldn't, like, I found information in the files that indicates that, like, at the time in the 70s, they were operating the batch plant there. So that's why we would consider it a non-conforming use. Like, it was there, it can continue, but once it becomes a non-conforming use, if you want to expand it across the property, you have to bring it into compliance. And the only way to bring it into compliance at this point would be to rezone to a district where the use exists, or to add the use to the current district. But we probably really don't want batch plants popping up in our M1 district, because those tend to be right next to our other commercial areas or residential areas and stuff, whereas our M2 is more removed. There's a bit of a buffer zone between those higher nuisance factors. So this one would be off the highway, but again, it's been in existence for years. They do keep the property looking fairly nice, you know, especially for an industrial property, so.
Okay, very well, thank you. All right, any other questions? All right.
Just Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Sorensen.
I'd just be in favor of rezoning this business. It's an existing long-term business in town, and just as businesses grow, potentially you just need to add some changes. So I would be able to make the recommendation that council gives first reading to bylaw 21-2024 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.4, bylaw 27-24 lending bylaw for the Tabor West Recreation. Mr. Tebow.
So just to remind council, we had a presentation from Star Theatre Society for Tabor Arts and Recreation. In that presentation, council agreed to provide a loan to them in some way, shape, or form. So a lending bylaw has to be done. So Mr. Orwa will come and speak to the lending bylaw that's in front of you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Orwa.
Good afternoon, members of council.
Good afternoon.
Now, before you is the lending bylaw, as has been mentioned, bylaw number 27-2024. So this is just to allow us to lend money to STAR as per the MGA. And at this point, we're just requesting the first reading to give us time to go through the advertisement. And once there's no appeal, we'll bring it back for the second and third reading so that we can lend them the money.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising whatsoever? All right, seeing none. All right, so I'm prepared to make that motion. Councilor Renford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
That council gives first reading to bylaw 27-2024, being the lending bylaw, Society for Tabor Arts and Recreation of the town of Tabor.
All right, thank you. Councilor Bruin, do you have a question?
Yes, do we list here what we're taking for security?
Did you say what we're taking for security? All right, Mr. Orwa.
Yes.
No, that is not listed. I think we're just going by the council motion that had specified the amount, the rate, the term, and of course the option to pay the loan out before maturity without penalty. That is the directive we got from council.
All right, thank you.
Yes, perhaps we should have some more thoughts after what is security, the building, or what are we going to do for security?
All right, Mr. Orwa, that's what came out of the original motion, correct?
Yes, I know during the first discussion, things like security came up, but it was not included anywhere in the motion. So I just go by the motion unless maybe council revises that motion.
Right, all right. Councilor Bruin, any concerns there?
I have no concerns if council feels good with it.
All right, very well. All right, so I'm required to make that motion. Pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. All right, yeah. Too many things all at once here. Okay, we do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Carried now, so thank you. All right, on to item 6.5, proposed fee bylaw 28-2024. Mr. Tebow.
So each year, administration has to go through the fee bylaw and present any adjustments to council, and this helps with our operational budget that eventually gets submitted to council. Mr. Orwa will go through the background potentially and some changes and field any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Orwa.
Thank you again. Again, this is just the first part of the fee bylaw, and of course, the first round is just different departmental heads to come forward and explain some of those changes. And then we also look for maybe council's input if at all there's anything that they would like to see or change before we bring it back for second and final reading. Now, on the utility side, I'll start by Schedule E. On the utility side, the statement I would like to make is that we've now moved all the things that were under utilities back to taxes. So you'll not see them in the fee bylaw anymore. The second statement I would like to make is that going back to our model that we started almost 5 years ago, it ends 2027. We had a very detailed discussion with the administration, and we thought probably go through the next round again in 2025 to see where we are. And we are going to monitor exactly the actual versus budget to let us know exactly where we are, whether we are meeting our targets or not. And I think the good news that I see, which of course I'll be sharing with the audit committee here pretty quick the next few weeks here, is that there are some areas that we're almost meeting the target. Like I know stormwater is really, really on target, because when I look at September ending preliminary statements, we are already at 75%. That tells me we are likely to break even. So those are the kind of things that we have in the utility areas. And if at all maybe something comes up from Mr. Egan, we'll be able to discuss again before the second and final reading. For now, probably I'll call upon the chief to talk about the recreation and see the possible changes, because I think he has also mentioned these things are still on their way to the record.
All right,
The
thank
podium
you.
is yours.
Thank you. Chief Monchel.
Mayor, council members, thank you very much. We have a couple pieces on the rec board that we talk about, and Brian Martin's here to assist if I fumble anything. So we have an additional cost to the banners this year. The fees have gone up with our annual banners with the this season and our memorial banners. And then the additional, sorry, lost it. Help me out in the last one.
The summer games increase.
Thank you very much. The summer games increase. But we're here for any questions that you may have for us.
All right, thank you. Any questions? None whatsoever? Nope.
Thank you, Ms. Martins. He does great, doesn't he? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move over to fire. This one, it's based on the false alarm process. Okay, in the Alberta code or standard for fire, it does not include residential. And where we're seeing a great amount of our false alarms is based on residential. So we've separated out the fire code based on residential, and then we've additionally added a non-rated fire alarm system for second and third alarm structure. That is just because there is no actual code requirement for that, and we're seeing more of it. But backing that, in my time, we have actually not given out any fines or had seen any cost recovery in these areas. We've dealt with it basically by community support and good communication, but we do like to have it identified in there in case that's not working in the future. So I'm open for any questions at all.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So does this come up often, that this needs to be in here now?
It comes up often enough that we have to communicate with the home resident about it. And because there's sometimes a lack of understanding or connection once you've had a system installed, for the installer to come back, sometimes it's an assistance to the homeowner saying that, hey, if you don't come back, they're going to start finding me, help me. And so it works on both sides.
All right, thank you. Any other questions whatsoever? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Chief.
So Council, those are the possible changes that we have at this time, and we'll bring them back again for second and third reading. And if there are changes in between, we will bring some additional information to you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Beg your pardon, I got a bit of a cold, but.
No, that's right.
Over regarding the rates, the sanitary sewer rates, I say they're up considerably. And you just mentioned stormwater, we're gonna meet our target, looks like. But obviously, we're very short on the sanitary sewer rates. Compilation of the budget, right? So is that why the increase is over 10%?
Yes, the increase that you see there, we're just following our model that we put forward from 2022. We started it in 2023, and we're moving forward towards it. So we are gauging them. If at all we see that we are almost on target, we don't have to do the increment, especially from 26 to 27. But sewer rate, specifically wastewater, we are seeing some deficits out there. That is where we're trying to catch up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you,
All
sir.
right, thank you. Any other questions arising? All right, someone prepared to make the required motion? Anyone? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives first reading to fee bylaw 28-2024 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor?
Councillor Sorensen? Councillor
In
Sorensen?
favor?
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Very in favor.
All right, thank you. All right, carried and announced. Thank you. On to item 7, action items, item 7.1, DP 24-220, 7022, 48th Street slab of grade house. Mr. Thibault.
So this relates back to the public hearings that we had, and council is the development authority on this, and so that's why they're coming to council for the discussion of what's happening. And we'll have, again, Ms. Selena Newberry and Chris Egan come forward.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. So our first application here is for 7022 48th Street. It's a slab on grade home out in the Meadows. So it's a discretionary use and comes to council for the decision. This has the sign off from the developer for the architectural controls, so it would meet their requirements, and it does meet the requirements of our land use bylaw for this particular district.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, none whatsoever. Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the person that was talking about his pivot or irrigation, does that come anywhere near this property?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor McLean. It sort of would, because this is kind of at the edge of the developed area right now. So as the circle comes through, it's possible that they could spray water onto this property, although, you know, if we're in a drought year, that might not be a terrible thing for the property owner if they're getting a little free water for the grass, but it would be irrigation water. It's not like it's raw water or anything like that. It's no different than if you were using non-potable water to water your grass. I think we do in some of our parks, if I understand correctly, so.
All right, thank you. Just to confirm, is that like a complete circle that the standard pivot format would be doing there?
I'm unsure if he's a complete circle or not out there. I just do know that it's usually from the end as it turns, where it's kind of like it shoots off. I think in this case, it's more to do with when it hits the road. So.
Okay, so I think that's the end gun we're talking about, right at the very end tower, right? So that's something that's controllable by the landowner, for sure.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilor Remford?
Yeah, I was just willing to make that motion if everybody's good with
All right,
that.
very well.
I'm glad to see some different kind of housing being built. That's kind of neat, right? I imagine he's gonna always put something in about irrigation. It's gonna be right up everything he should. He might as well, right? But I don't think it'll be a problem. So I'll make a motion that council approves development permit DP 24-220 for a similar to semi-detached dwelling at 722 48th Street, Unit 93, condo plan 2210424 with the following 19 conditions.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Ms. Newberry? Yes.
Sorry, it was a very, very, very busy period. Can he amend that so it just says slab on grade instead of semi-detached?
Yep.
All
Yeah,
right.
I can change that from similar to semi-detached dwelling to slab on grade.
All right, thank you. All right, motion on the table. Amend a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.2, DP 24-219, 726 48th Street slab on grade house as well. Mr. Tebow.
So again, very similar, obviously a different property, but I believe it's right down the street or one away from the one we just discussed.
All right, thank you. Ms. Newberry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. So yes, this one's actually right next door. And I will need the same amendment on this one as well. Again, very sorry, very, very busy. Same idea. It's a slab on grade home. It has the sign off from the architectural controls from the developer. It's right at the edge of the development. And as Councilor Remford said with the last one, it's really kind of nice to see some different things happening out there as well.
All right, thank you. Councilor Remford.
Since I already practiced, I can do that one too. These are fine. I'll make a motion that council approves development permit DP 24-219 for a slab on grade dwelling at 7026 48th Street, Unit 92, condo plan 2210424 with the following 19 amendments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Councilor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a comment on the previous item and also this one. I happen to know the builder, in this particular case, the same builder, South Savannah Construction. I know them really well, and I take great comfort in the fact that they're going to do it, because they do a good job. I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carried unanimously, thank you. On to item 7.3, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, so speaking to item one of the two items, we have the an annual submission that comes our way from the FCSS board. And again, I typically would ask Mr. Beckering, he attends lots of these, if there was anything in there that he wished to elaborate on further, but this is what we get annually as a report from the FCSS group. If Mr. Beckering didn't have anything, that's just fine, and we can move on to, did you have something?
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I moved too fast. Go ahead, sir.
Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I think the report is very, very comprehensive. The present management at FCSS and Coaldale in particular, the last 2-3 years, I've noticed they've done a better job of compiling statistics that are meaningful. I've been on that board for many years, as you know, and some statistics that have been provided previously were not, in my view, meaningful or didn't tell me the success or not, you know. So now this is these reports are now based on actual fact and actual. They follow a template that's provided by the government, which is really cool. And I think the report is indeed very comprehensive, like I said, and it's accurate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. No other questions whatsoever, Mr. Tebow?
And then item number 2, thank you, Councillor Beckering. If I could just get Amy to come forward, she could speak a little bit to the Savor of the South that was in your package. Thanks, Amy.
Hi, Council.
Hello.
So in partnership with Travel Alberta, we are part of the Highway 3 corridor. They split the province into 10 corridors. And as part of this, they have given us a grant to do Savor Alberta South. So Carlos Pass, Lethbridge, Tabor, and Medicine Hat have all been involved in the planning for this, and it starts November 1st. So any restaurant along the Highway 3 corridor can participate by featuring a menu item that has something local in it. So they don't have to discount it, they don't have to do anything like that. Through the grant, the promotional materials are provided. You'll see the poster up there. There's window clings, table pamphlets, whatever they put on the table, and social media as well. We did have some home-based businesses as well participate. So this is just the first. It starts November 1st. It's for 3 weeks of a much longer campaign, so there's different parts to it. The same company who did Highway 3 Ale Trail, we contracted to do this, so we're excited to see what they're going to do with it.
All right. Thank you, Amy. All right, Mr. Tebow.
That's all that was in the information items for council.
All right, thank you. No motion required on this one. Moving on to department reports, item 7.4. I will go through them individually. If you have any questions, please advise. First is administrative service report. Finance department report. HR department report. Engineering and public works report. Treatment facilities department report. Facilities management department reports. Planning department report. Economic development report. CAO reports. Fire department reports. And recreation department report. Mr. Tebow.
It was just asked that I point out that the multi-year wetlands projects did come to an end. We've accomplished everything we were looking for that multi-year project, and just wanted to make mention of that. It must have been in the department report somewhere.
All right, great news. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to point out that there is a congratulations to Mr. Jason Wilms for hitting his 15 years of service. So thank you very much.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, no other questions in that regard. All right, no motion required there. Moving on to item 7.5, mayor and councilor reports. Councilor Firth, will you start with us, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. I attended most of my meetings. I think I might have missed one. I also attended the Alberta Municipalities Conference in Red Deer, along with Councillor Beckering and Councillor Sorensen and our CAO. I attended the Parkside Seniors Lunch that council served at, briefly, but I was there. Taber and District Community Adult Learning had their AGM this month, and I attended that. I also attended the Pheasant Festival banquet and an open house for Porch Place, which is a renovated business in town.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meetings I'm supposed to. I'm also I attended the Alberta Municipality Association conference in Red Deer with Councillor Firth and Councillor Sorensen. It was very worthwhile and had a good time. The girls took good care of me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended all my meetings minus one due to a migraine. I also attended the Fire Prevention Week barbecue that the fire hall held on, and they do a great job with all their activities that they host, and also the amount of kids and classrooms that they attend during Fire Prevention Week is awesome. They do a great job, so kudos to them. So thank you very much for that. And I also attended the South Grow meeting that was held here at Cooley Cafe, which was also lovely. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended most of my meetings, but I have been gone for a few. I did attend the Alberta Municipalities Conference, the Seniors Luncheon, and the South Grow meeting, which we hosted, and was happy to see everyone come to Taber and see what we all have to offer. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. Councillor Renford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meetings I was able to attend. I also attended the Parkside Manor Lunch, and Dolph's Catering was what we used, and I heard a lot of good feedback, so if in the future we should use that. Safe Haven is having a family violence prevention walk coming up Wednesday, November 6th, so just something to do. Hopefully it's nice weather. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Means I was able to, nothing else to report.
All right, thank you. And for myself, I attended a variety of meetings, as always, related document and check signing requirements. I did also attend the Cooley Cafe South Grow Dinner meeting event. Attended the Eagle Spirit Nest W.R. Myers Little Deer presentation, as well as attended the Fire Hall for the Fire Prevention Week and open house. I attended the local Dairy Queen 7th anniversary events. As well, I attended the Dickey's new restaurant dinner evening event, as well as the Dickey's grand opening the following day. I also attended the Parkside dinner event as catered by Dulce. Was very well done and very well received by our senior members as well. I did also attend the Taber Public Library drumming event hosted by FCSS. That was a great experience. I attended the W.R. Myers Mennonite Christian dinner event also, as well as attended the Taber Police Service Regimental dinner event at the Taber Golf Course hosted by the Par 3 restaurant. And that would be my report. No questions arising. All right, no motion required. On to item 7.6, standing items, council requests. Mr. Thibault.
Okay, up comes the listing. Resolution 266, 2024, to do with Councillor Sorensen requesting us investigate life expectancy is still in progress. Resolution 268, 2024, Councillor Bruin had asked about 43rd Street. We were able to meet with the developer. They have provided us a way forward, and so council will see that there's going to be some activity happening for the connectivity on 43rd Street that connects the existing 43rd Street to 56th Avenue. So that will be starting like immediately. Mayor Prokop asked about the flags and flagpoles. We do have an answer back from the MD of Taber. They do have an interest in participating, so something will come back to council, I believe, for costing and budget approval. Mayor Prokop had asked about investigating for the capability of asphalt and concrete. That is still in progress. That was resolution 295/2024. And the last resolution being 310/2024. Again, just in progress for now. We do have a communications plan ask in our operations budget that will look after this item, but till we get in the operations budget in front of council, it'll just remain in progress. So that takes care of the list. Back over to council for anything else.
All right, thank you. Any new standing item council requests? For our online guests as well, Councilor Sorensen, Councilor Bruin.
No, nothing this month.
Oh,
Thank
all
you.
right.
All good.
Thank you. All right, no motion required there. There are no delegations. Any media inquiries, Mr. Tebow?
There are none.
All right, with that, I would ask to move into our meal break and reconvene at 5 p.m. to move into closed session. Councilor Becker, motion on the table? All in favor?
In favor.
Favor.
Carry unanimously. Thank you. And we'll see you both back on at 5.